Everyone, and welcome to your first days of summer. I hope you had a beautiful solstice and a beautiful weekend. Today, I'm going to talk to you about angels and guides. I think many people are mystified by what it is that our guides and our angels do. And many people don't realize that we all have angels and guides with us. Not everyone puts them to use, but they're with all of us and they want to help us. There is a difference between an angel and a guide, and I'm going to explain that to you today. So I hope you'll take that away with you from this talk and put it to use and contact your angels and guides and let them help you. As always, subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll be notified when there's a new video posted, and we'll continue to bring you new content in the coming weeks. So, angels. Angels are with us. We have many different types of angels who are with us, and angels are very different than guides. Angels, like guides, want to help us, but it's a much lighter energy. It's not as personal a relationship as a guide, but we tend to have them with us. They're usually there's more of them. It's a lighter energy, not quite as intense and not quite as focused. So you've probably heard of the term parking angel. A lot of people use that when they're trying to find a parking space, but it's a good example of the kinds of angels that we do have. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's actually true. We have angels for every different kind of thing that you can imagine, and they have a very light touch, as you would imagine that an angel would. They come in at your bidding when you ask them, and they will do a specific task for you. And you know what? It is their pleasure to do that. They are waiting for you to call upon them so that they can help you with tasks. Now, unlike a guide, angels are more short-term oriented, I believe. This is my belief. And they're there for specific reasons, and you can call them forth to help you with smaller tasks than you might with a guide. A guide is a little different because guides have a much stronger energy, and it's a much more personal kind of relationship that you might have with a guide. But like angels, we have guides with us. We have angels and guides with us. And I like to explain to uh, folks when I do a reading for them that I often see their angels and guides, and they're sort of like in the balcony, if you can imagine a large auditorium, the Kennedy Center or the LA Philharmonic, some large space, and there's a balcony. And for many people, their angels and guides are sitting way up there in the last row of the balcony. They're just waiting for you to call them down. They are so eager to come down. They're going to come right down to the orchestra level to help you. But you have to call them. You have to ask them. And they'll come. They're with you. They'll come. But if you don't ever ask them, they're just going to be sitting up there in the balcony waiting for the production to begin. And you're the production. So guides have a larger scope than angels. So we may have a master guide with us. We may have a health guide with us. We may have a guide that helps us on our life path. We could have guides who have specific functions like angels, but they are much weightier than angels. And their knowledge and their energy is much broader than an angel. And they have a much more, they're sort of like an academic professor, somebody who's very learned and who's been doing this for many years. They know their one area very well, and that's their specialty and their expertise, and they do what we say in our world, the heavy lifting, right? So the guides are doing the heavy lifting for you. Now, guides can be souls that have incarnated on earth, and they could be family members, perhaps a grandparent or somebody who was close to you, who, when they pass to the other side, become a guide, and they're with you and they want to help you, and they could be helping you in many different ways. But guides can also be incarnated entities that did not incarnate here on earth. So they're energetic entities, but they never incarnated on earth, which would be unlike someone who had a life on earth and passed, and then returns to become a guide. So there are two different kinds of guides. And when I read for people, I see both kinds of guides. With many people, I see guides who might be family members who are now with the sitter to help them and to guide them in various parts of their lives. But they may also have other guides who are with them who never incarnated on earth and who are higher energetic forms who are there to do good and to help you. So guides and angels are two different things, but the most important thing that you should know is that you should call on them. And you may not feel them at first, you may not see them, you may never see them. I don't see my guides and angels. Maybe I shouldn't be telling you that because you probably think psychics and mediums see and hear everything, and that every one of my senses is available all the time to connect with these entities. But the truth is, I don't really care if I see my guides and angels. It's not important to me. I know that they're there. I communicate with them. And that's the most important thing. You don't need to see them. But I think it's important to talk to them. They hear you. And as long as you are talking to them, they are going to try to respond the best they can. And at some point, you may be able to feel them or hear them in kind. It's not a requirement. They'll still do their work. But if you can hear them or feel them, great. Now, a lot of people ask, what's my guide's name? And my response to that is, it's not really important for you to know your guide's name, especially, let me put it this way. If you have a guide that never incarnated on earth, why would you think that they would have a name? Because if they were never here, they probably didn't speak English, and they're just energy. So, you may have a sense that it's a male or female energy, or you may have neither of those. But it's not really important to know the guide's name. It's important to work in partnership with the guide and to allow them to do their work. And in order for them to do their work, you have to engage them. You have to ask them for their help. And if there's a particular area of your life that you need help with, if you need help with your health, if you need help with your career, if you want to move, if you want to find a new house, or you move to a new location, if you have an issue with your job, we have guides and angels and helpers to help us with all of that. So ask them for their help. You can ask them telepathically. In other words, you don't have to speak out loud, or you could ask them by writing or speaking out loud and asking them something very specific. So these are all ways that we can engage with them. Now, if you want to go a little further, some of you may have altars, and if you do, that's great. And if you don't, you can always create one. It doesn't have to be that complicated. I always say it's nice to have some candles on your altar, candles that you can light. Candles attract angels, so that's very nice. And fresh flowers. You can see I have some fresh flowers here. Flowers are always lovely, and any objects that are meaningful to you. So if you have photos of your loved ones who've passed, that's always nice. I think having fresh flowers or a fresh plant, that kind of earth energy, I think is very lovely on an altar. But an altar can be a place also where you speak to your guides. It can be a place where you go and implore them to help you. So you may have an altar and you may like to use it for that reason, or you may not. It's really up to you. It's a personal preference. You don't have to be in any specific place to engage your guide. It's whatever feels right for you. And just to remember that they do hear you. Even if you don't think they hear you and they will go to work for you. Try it. You'll see. So I thank you very much for joining me today. It's always my pleasure to do these sessions on YouTube. I hope you'll subscribe. And please feel free to go to my website, DebraDiamondAuthor.com, for readings. You can contact me through the website or to sign up for my newsletter. So thank you very much, and thanks for joining us.